Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Q&A. As Marshall said, it's been a lot of meetings. They've had the regionals the last 2 days, so it's pretty much eight straight hours of meetings and wearing headsets and going over a lot of information. So I'm going to be your host. I'm Gary Gerwer, and Matt Clark will be driving documentation for us. And speaking of the regionals, I think we're going to share the box link out. If you attended them, you may already have that, but if you missed the regionals, there's a lot of good information in their presentation. So definitely get a copy of that regional quarterly regional meeting update from May 2025. A lot of slides, but a lot of good information of things that are happening and things that are coming. So take a look at that. And that's just the agenda of the regionals. The next thing I wanted to mention was there was a flash that went out. I think it was Thursday or Friday, Flash 302. And this has to do, and they talked a little bit about this in the regionals, but it has to do with the parent guardian field validation changes. And there's some 3 bullets. We scroll down right there. That's kind of the main part. It's 7 pages, so I'm not going to cover the whole thing. But basically, I'm going to read these 3. If a parent guardian is submitted for only one parent guardian, the information entered needs to be under parent guardian 1. Don't put it under parent guardian 2. Next bullet, if the parent guardian information is submitted for 1, all 3 fields need to be populated: the first name, last name, and highest education level. If the parent guardian 2 is submitted in addition to 1, both the first name and last name must be populated. But the parent guardian 2 highest education level code is optional. And for all the reasons for that is in all the documentation there. But Matt, scrolling down a little bit more, and if you don't do it right, these are the new errors that you're going to get. These 0453 errors, and for parent 1 and for parent 2, there's these in the next table. So definitely take a look at this flash. And the next thing I wanted to bring up was, and hopefully we all have it off, but the service desk will be closed next Monday for Memorial Day. CALPADS will still be chugging along. I'm pretty sure it will be. So anyone that's off that wants to work, it'll be working, but you won't be able to put, well, you could put a ticket in, but there won't be anybody at the desk to answer your ticket till Tuesday. And that's the email that was sent out a couple days ago, I think. And I think that is all I have for announcements. Angela, did you have anything for updates and errors or?
Just that we did have a deployment yesterday, and the active and fixed known issues are updated with the items that were in that release. And that's all I had today, Gary.
All right. Sean, did you have anything? I know you've been doing a lot of talking these last 2 days. Anything to bring up? Nope. Okay.
Dominic,
Dominic?
just finding the audio button. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't have any updates.
Oh, nothing. Okay. Dominic, do you have any special ed related things? I know you've been busy with road shows for the last 3 years, it seems like it.
Thanks, Gary. Speaking of road shows, we are going to have the virtual roadshow, statewide virtual roadshow on June 3rd from 1 to 4 p.m. If I had thought about it, I would have had the link prepared, but I'll drop it in the chat in a moment. That will be recorded. If you haven't been able to join us on the road shows, you can join us for that one and see all the fun stuff we're talking about. Additionally, since Monday is a holiday, next week's special education data office hours will be on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Same that channel.
Awesome. Thanks. And that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the questions. A lot of you might already be questioned out if you've been at the regionals, but I do see some tickets are now coming in. Okay. So Q1 from Soraya. It is my understanding of the dashboard communications toolkit correct that only the 9th through 12th grade students taking college classes with oversight and offered by our LEA count towards the LEA's CCE? We have an LEA that is grades 6 through 12 and has 7th and 8th graders taking college classes offered by our school. We're trying to decide if the end of year 1, 7th through 8th optional reporting is needed in this scenario by understanding if the middle school's college class enrollments will affect the LEA's CCE. I don't think 7th and 8th graders affect CCIs.
So it may not affect your CCI. Okay, so the toolkit isn't where you should be looking. Let me start there. The dashboard technical guide is where you should be reviewing for what's reported for the CCI. However, if your LEA is reporting college courses, if you have students that are taking college courses that have an oversight with your LEA, meaning they have some type of agreement with your LEA, then those courses should be reported. Was that us? Sorry, it was feedback. Okay, maybe
Feedback.
just me. Maybe it's on my side. Those courses should be reported, and they should be reported for possibly for funding reasons, especially if those courses, wait, is this a CC student? They're college courses. They should be reported for funding reasons. But again, if those courses are courses that students take independently on their own that do not have any oversight, then no, you should not be reporting them. And then for the CRSC, and there's an FAQ on this, for CRSC and for CRSC/E and SCSE/C. I think I said the first one backwards, forgive me. Those courses, yes, should definitely report it for 7th and 8th. They should be reported for 7th through 12th.
And
I think I got everything.
Sean, when I read the question, and this, I don't know what the technical guide says, but I think the cohort, while it's only 9 through 12, what I'm not sure about is whether or not they pull the course history for 7th through 12 to see if there are any college courses that the student who is now, say, in graduating, whether they took a college course back when they were 7th or 8th grader, and if that counts then toward the CCI. I'm not sure. So we probably need to just ask.
No, we're saying the
anyone.
same thing, Paula. I told them I'm not sure if it counts for CCI, so they need to read the technical guide.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure right, because I don't know if they capture that or not. So
yeah, but for funding purposes, yes, they do. For possible funding purposes, they do need to submit it. And then for CalPADS purposes, we ask them to submit for grades 7 through 12.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, next question. So when is this known issue 7167 for the 718E3 supposed to clear on the CalPADS site? I believe that a fix went in for that, I think. Oh,
I don't think so, Gary.
not yet.
Mm-mm.
Oh, maybe it hasn't been implemented. It says fix available, but maybe it hasn't been implemented yet. Oh, did we lose Matt?
Checking.
Oh, we lost Matt. We lost our documents.
That's okay.
He doesn't come back, I can jump in, but
Okay.
I'm gonna give him a couple, maybe a
Yeah, that
minute.
happened last time.
Yeah.
He's tired. It's been a long couple of days.
Computers are tired, okay? They really are.
You just rebooted, he said.
Oh, geez. That might.
I'm like, even the box site crashed earlier. Like, we're flooding with a lot of stuff. It's okay. Yes, Jan, that is the STAS exempt requirement for summer graduates. That's why I'm pretty sure that it's not in yet. So to answer Angelina's question, when is it supposed to be cleared? We just started working on it. When we will share that information out, we'll gladly share it out once available. We've got to be able to work through those validations to assist. And again, per the regionals, we'll gladly share it out once it's available, and we'll widely share it.
Okay. The next one is Q1 from Ricky Lynn. Is there a known issue with the SENR 0453E3? The error is being received on students who have not been enrolled in a few years and on prior records from 22-23. There was one, but it's really old. And actually, I have an email in for this error with our requirements team because I have two tickets where I don't believe it should be triggering. One is a student, let's see. Oh, they have a short-term enrollment, and that seems to have taken precedence over the overlapping enrollment where they still have open enrollment. And the short-term enrollment, they didn't put in the parent guardian information, even though the LEA that's getting the error did. So my question is, should the short-term enrollment that didn't put the information in be causing an error for different LEA? And I have not received a response back from them.
Her scenario is a little bit different, Gary. She's saying the students have not been enrolled in a few years. And they're getting the error, and that should not be the case.
That should not be the case either.
Yeah, if they weren't there at all this year. So Ricky Lynn, if you want to put in a ticket with the sample SSID, we'll take a look.
And these are our new errors. So it's like, oh. Yes, put a ticket in and may add to the existing one or have a separate. Q1 from Lily. I have 3 fatal errors in my end of year 3. Expected attendance days is greater than total enrollment days. These are students that just registered in May. How can I correct this? Is that the one where you may have to exit your students or?
Yeah, that one, if you have kids that enroll late in the spring, you'll typically see that until you finally close them out at the end of the year. So I would just look the other way for now. I think somebody else answered her. Amber gave a good explanation.
Okay,
of it.
perfect.
Thank you, Amber, for using the error guide.
And Alex has taken over for Matt until he gets his system back online. Thanks, Alex. Q1 from Bavita. What does the acronym Subject Matter Expert, or SME, mean on slide 23, Sample Local Data Quality Review in today's regionals? And Jan wrote that, so there you go. Who needs us? They just have the LEAs answer the questions. And I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
I don't know what fast food thing that's from, but yeah, let me borrow that one right now.
Okay, Q1 from John. With the short edict, how can CDE expect LEAs to comply with AB 101 for the 25-26 school year? Paula? No?
Can't remember what that legislation is. Does anybody else know?
No, I don't. Off the top of my head, I honestly don't.
Paula came off mute for a second, but
No, yeah, I thought you said Paula. I don't know what AB 101.
okay. He's writing pupil instruction high school graduation requirements for ethnic studies.
There is no requirement.
Yeah, I mean the requirement in this year, and there's not a short. That bill was a while ago. The requirement is that LEAs offer a course because the graduation requirement doesn't kick in until another 4 years. But right now, the budget trailer bill does not include funding for that, and there is the statutory language also says it doesn't go into effect if there is no funding. So given all the craziness at the federal level, we have, this is all kind of new, so we haven't yet heard officially from anyone as to what this really means for the grad requirement for ethnic studies, but it's not a requirement this year, right? It's only was a requirement to offer a course. And that bill, it's not new, right? The bill was enacted a couple of years ago. So we will be hopefully providing as a department information about the status of that particular statewide graduation requirement. Right now, it's a little bit unclear just because there's no funding. The funding was taken away for it at the state level.
Please say slide 78. 78, yes. Or I think I wrote 3 times. UCD does not currently have a reporting requirement for this.
There it is.
Yeah, so the reporting requirement is meaning that we even if there was funding for this in the budget as there was supposed to be, and even if we didn't have craziness at the federal level, we weren't monitoring whether or not schools actually were providing a course, which is when we say it does not have a currently reporting requirement, means we don't monitor nor were we required to report specifically on it. But if you notice that we do report courses and in our reporting of courses generally, I would have included whatever ethics study courses there were.
Okay, thank you. Keyword from Sonoan is the fatal SENR 0722E3 parent guardian 2 highest education level should not be populated unless the first and last name are also given new. It's not one of the fatals listed on Flash 302. I just noticed them today.
I love Alex. Yes, it is new. It is listed there on the screen. When you go down to the date, Alex, I think it says 4/25. Yep.
525, yeah.
Oh, sorry. It says 5/25 and which date it was added. I don't know if we're adding this to the web version of the Flash. I haven't read emails to be able to know. Like Gary mentioned, we've been in consistent meetings. So if that's going to be added to the web version, then I don't know. But the validation is there. It's in effect, and it's publicly posted on how to, not only what it is, but how to resolve it.
All right. One from Angela. I'm trying to understand the 25-26 CTE requirement changes from slides 81 through 83 of the regionals. Is it possible that a student will be considered a concentrator per the federal definition, 2 courses within a pathway, but be considered a completer here in California if the pathway is a 2-course pathway?
No. So that's what it states is the definitions there for both federal and state. And so for concentrators, again, CTE has aligned with the federal requirement. And that's also listed in the 300 hours documentation for public comment that's been out for about 2 years. That information there, though, it's telling you exactly what it is for both federal and state. Completion, though, that is specific to California, and that is required for the student to complete for the student to complete the series within the pathway and or sub-pathway, which must be a capstone course. So that's the noticeable difference there. If that information has not been provided by the CTE office, I highly encourage you to look at slide 84 and please kindly send them an email.
Hey, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Q1 from Natasha. Regarding SPED students who are assessed and not eligible, who need an N470 exit with the exit date matching the enrollment date rather than the day prior, can I suggest a new exit code specifically for these students? That way we can use logic to ensure the correct exit date for them separate from our gen ed students. Our SIS would see the SPED scenario as a one-day enrollment requiring course enrollment and attendance data, which we will not have for DNQ students. That question is above my pay grade.
I don't really have anything to offer as far as us coming up with new exit codes. Maybe it's something that you would want to submit a ticket for, and we can bring it up at the our meetings between CSIS, CALPADS, and CDE where we talk about this sort of thing. I don't know what the impacts would be of creating a different exit code or any of that sort of thing. So, but it is something we can talk about.
Thanks, Dominic.
I would also recommend that you contact your SIS vendor.
That too.
That's a little bit more flexible than CDE creating something. And the reason why I say that is because we have so many checks and balances to go through along with teams, different teams and divisions to pass things through. So sometimes it may be great for us to create an idea, but it gets it gets shut down by other divisions because of it would impede their work. However, you all have a contract with your SIS vendors in which you pay for, and you all pay a lot of money for these items. And so, in order for your SIS to be correct, they should be able to meet our information. So, to me, the easier route would be for them to be able to correct it because it's not all SIS vendors that are doing this. It seems like only some. And so it also shows then that they have the ability not to, which may be a quicker path in getting items corrected versus us being able to get things corrected.
That's a great point, Sean. And I think it's also something that we can bring up with the vendors when we meet them with them on the biweekly basis. So maybe hit it from both angles.
Sounds good. Okay, key one from Judy. What are the possible consequences for districts that report student suspension for 511 disruption and willful defiance?
You can't, Judy. You can't solely report that. I don't know what error code that is anymore. Like, I'm not even trying to make you look for it now.
You can't, meaning we have a validation?
Yes, you can't solely report it. You can report it with something else, but you can't solely report it with that
It's
one.
a warning though.
It is a warning.
Okay,
It's
so
Yes.
0710.
Thank you.
yeah, so you know, 1 year we sent out letters to LEAs that had data that looked funny like that, but there's not a specific consequence. It's just that it looks, if it looks funny, if a school looks like they have a lot of inappropriate combinations, you might get a letter at some point.
Okay, thank you. A keyword from Rachel. I'm reading the 24 through 27 draft federal Perkins versus state plan, and it says the CTE pathway completion requires that a student finishes at least 2 course sequences in an industry pathway with a C or better in the industry pathway capstone course. It seems this contradicts page 83 of the regional slides that says the completion indicators specific to California, students who complete all required courses in a pathway subpathway. I read CALPADS slides to mean all courses in the pathway, not 2, but the Perkins doc says 2 is good to go. Is that accurate? Thanks.
All required courses. And so it's not all courses, it's all required courses, and which those required courses that should be laid out in their file plan on that. It's the third item listed on that next slide, Alex. It should be laid out there, the Perkins forms and files. So I would reference that, Rachel. And again, if you don't see that information there, then you would do that 4th line where, yes, please email perkins@cde.ca.gov.
A Q1 from Arnie. We have a couple of 12th graders who have been tested with the spring LPAC. In the meantime, while waiting for the result of the testing, they've completed their graduation requirements and graduated earlier. How can we report their RFEP now that we are finding they are eligible? Can we backdate the effective date of their reclassification? Is there any flash in the past release regarding this?
Oh, I wrote
It's
one. I think last year.
Slash 300.
Thanks, Kai.
They can backdate it to the last day of enrollment.
Perfect. Thanks, Karen. I saw you were typing an answer. Okay. Q1 from Noel. What is the appropriate exit code to use for a student who is exempt from ADA for an initial enrollment period when we have created a subsequent enrollment at the same LEA to reflect enrollment period during which we will collect ADA?
I think that needs a ticket because I don't understand. And if somebody else
it's-
understands,
I don't
jump
know
in.
why you would, if the
Well,
student's there, why would you
so
exit them?
the
But why
way
they have a subsequent enrollment?
the only thing I can imagine is the student was in maybe home hospital at the beginning and then switched and now is in gen ed. And so I would say that at that point, just give us the STAS with for the regular enrollment. You don't have to do the STAS exemption at that point.
I think they're asking for the
I think
appropriate exit code, and
Oh,
it's whatever it is appropriate for the scenario. The student generating ADA or not doesn't really determine anything with the exit reason code. If you think of those early TKs, they're non-ADA students. They still should be reported in CALPADS, and you still would use the appropriate exit reason code. They're generating ADA or not doesn't impact what exit reason code you use.
yeah,
I
forget what I
agree.
said, what Nate
I
said.
agree, Nate. And then for home hospital, I thought the FAQ says that they do want ADA for those students. I think I just need a ticket. I'm sorry. So then
They're
isn't there
asking
exit
because
code
the
for
student was,
immunization?
What grade is the student? That might help the most, because if they're not in compulsory ed, that is an easy exit reason.
Well, she's asking for immunization, and I know that's a local thing. I know I had a local code, but I think it was just local.
I agree with Nathan's comment though, because the exit, I don't think we need an exit.
that's what I thought too. Student in high school. Okay, well, Noel, if we didn't get your answer, I think put a ticket in and we can investigate further. Q1 from Eva. For the 25-26 reporting of expanded learning programs, if the LEA offers services during the summer, but before an open enrollment in CalPADS, does the LEA have to report those days?
Do they report summer, or can they report summer for, wait,
I'm sorry, what was the,
it doesn't tie to their enrollment.
wait, I'm sorry, what's the question?
For expanded learning programs, if the LEA offers services during the summer, but before an open enrollment, does the LEA have to report those days?
It's one of those things that if you do report them, it looks like your LEA is providing more ELP days. If you don't, we're not going to know. As I tried to explain that, this is really getting a high level account as to how many days are being provided to how many kids in each LEA across the state. So if you miss those days, no one's going to know, but you're getting credit for more days if you do report them. So I don't know if that helps answer your question.
Okay. So call that one done. Rachel, I see a Q2. We'll come back to that one. Karina, Q1, regarding slide 29 from the regionals, can you explain the need for the N470 exits, no-shows to be listed on the district's SPED reports?
Not sure.
Apologies. So N470, an enrollment exit code the day before the enrollment sort of nullifies it for CalPADS reporting purposes. If you look at any of the certification reports, part of the criteria for pulling students into that report is an overlapping enrollment. And if that N470 is posted with an effective date the day before the enrollment start date, CalPADS will not recognize that enrollment and those students will not pull into your certification reports.
You. Q2 from John, we'll come back to that one. Q1 from Charlene. We have several students triggering the STAS708E3 warning, invalid incident result code and grade level combinations for the student offense code 511. These students are from grade 2 to 8. Under what situation can we still suspend the students?
So again, it's a warning, Charlene. It's not, it won't prevent you from certifying. What you should be able to do is ensure your administrator or child welfare and attendance monitor typically should be able to review those and ensure that those are accurate. And why they're accurate is for your dashboard purposes. And so with that, those students should have a corresponding suspension record that goes along with that, that is valid. Or it should be a teacher suspension if the teacher suspension was, I'm not sure of the exact terminology, but it's basically approved by the district administration if they've accepted it, I think is what it says. And your child welfare and attendance monitor can find that information on the CDE website under behavior something. Our other, Nancy Portillo put it out a few years ago. It's somewhere, I think, embedded under behavioral intervention strategies and support is what it is. And so as long as those are in compliance, you're good.
Okay. Okay, Q2s, we're getting a lot of Q2s. Q1 from Amy. Regarding the updated Sunbucks guidelines, we are a non-classroom based independent study charter. After reviewing these updates, I believe that our students who qualify as streamlined certified will be eligible to receive this disbursement, even though we do not participate in the NSLP. Are there any additional steps we need to take to provide data in the ECDS? My understanding is that our remaining students, non-streamlined certified, would not be eligible for any allocation.
Correct, because they need to be enrolled in a participating school. However, for your streamlined certified, just make sure homeless records are uploaded if there are any, and addresses are up to date.
Okay. Ooh, Q3 from Rachel. Okay, we'll come back to that from Ramirez AM. Hi, everyone. New LEA here. Well, welcome to CALPADS. I need clarification for the LTELs. Will elementary districts be required to report LTELs for the 25-26 year and not the 24-25 year?
Well, districts
tell
don't.
you your LTELs.
What was that, Sean? They don't.
Well, I was like,
LEAs don't report LTELs. We tell
Yeah.
them, so
That's
you
what I
don't have
said.
to do anything.
That's exactly what I said, Paula.
Yeah. Okay, I couldn't tell.
Oh, yeah. So you report your CELA status for students. And that's, I think, I don't know if that's reflected on the next slide or not, but that's what you report to us. And then LTELs are calculated based upon the two different ed codes. You were on the right slide. I'm sorry, Alex. One more up.
Sorry, I'm back.
It's Matt
me
now.
again.
Hey, Matt's back.
My bad. I'm sorry. Matt, I didn't know you were back. My bad. I'm so sorry.
Sorry for just popping in here.
It's okay. We understand. So again, team effort. We all here.
At the same time, my computer rebooted. It took 40 minutes for me to come back too.
So I'm sorry, Ramirez. These are the two definitions in which your students can fall into an LTEL category, whether they are elementary and or not elementary. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I think bottom line is no, you don't do anything. We tell you, and also remember to be LTEL, at least for CALPADS dashboard, you have to be EL for 7 years. So if anyone is LTEL in an elementary district, they're not, they might be 5th or 6th graders, right? So just reminding folks of that.
And then Rebecca makes a good point. Yes, ensuring that your student initial US enrollment date are correct and or the CELA start dates are correct. That's what you're reporting to us when the student initially enters in.
Thank you. Done. And Q1 from Terry. Apologies for having a brain blip. If a student is a completer in the 10th grade, doesn't take any other CTE courses and graduates this year, will the student be counted as a completer this year? If they put in an SCTE record that matches the pathway that matches the course code for the CTE course that they completed, yes.
They're counted for the completion, but not for the cohort.
Well, just remember too that the cohort will look across 4 years.
Yes.
So if they
But they won't be
complete
complete in that cohort year where they're expected to graduate. Correct?
Right.
Yeah, when they do graduate and they're graduating as part of a cohort and they had a CTE completion sometime in that 4 years, they will get credit for it. But when we're doing our 1 year, I guess, reporting to whoever, it would not because they had already reported that in the prior year.
Q1 from Nathan. I also had over 100 fatal errors yesterday for the 453. The 20 plus students I checked all have current enrollment, but their demographic records stop at 2019, 2020. I'm not sure how to proceed, but it seems like the missing demographic records are triggering the error because the system is using the 2019-20 record as its most current.
Yeah, it's using the most recent student demographic record that it could find. And I spot checked a few of your errors, Nathan. Thank you for including your school district name. And it's interesting, the data is there, but the parent names are joined together in one field. So instead of the parent one first name, parent one last name, it's parent and both parents' first names and last names in the last name field. So I wonder if you were to reach out to your student information system support, if they would be able to help you clean that up, maybe parse those fields, that would clean up those validation errors for you.
Keyword from Andrea. Will CALPADS still conduct their new year initialization in mid to late July?
You mean the school year rollover?
I was like, I don't know what that is. You're talking about the school year rollover? Yes, we will.
That's what they're talking about. Yeah.
School year rollover will happen after end of year is completed. We haven't figured out the exact date, but it's either the end of August or beginning of September timeframe.
Okay. Q2 from Sun, Q1 from Roger. Apparently this is for you, Paula. In the Northern Regional meeting yesterday, you said that it would be time consuming and costly for California to develop an online application for Sunbucks. While true, I don't think the other 35 and smaller states that offer an online application have developed their own system. The USDA Summer EBT website, USDA in partnership with Nutrilink Technologies, Inc., developed an online application to make it easier for families to apply for the summer EBT benefits and easier for states to run the new program. Starting in July 1st of 2024, Nutrilink is hosting and administering an application on behalf of the USDA. State agencies and Indian tribal organizations administering summer EBT can opt in at no cost.
Correct. So our Nutrition Services Division has reviewed and got a demo of that system. The problem is, I believe, and I will double check with them and make sure that they have investigated that thoroughly, is that applying is one thing, but once there's an application submitted, there's a whole process to verify the application for some percentage of those applications, which means that they need to actually then get documents verifying that the income that they've reported on the application. And that's the process that right now LEAs do essentially for NSLP applications, and what there's money in the budget for LEAs to do for Sunbucks applications. So it's the verification process. The percentage of of applications the state of California would have to verify is such that it'd be a lot of people that would have to actually do that, which is why the cost is kind of spread amongst the LEAs. So it's that. As I mentioned, the legislation that's being contemplated by the legislature, of course, then makes the system even bigger and more complicated to do a lot of other things that are also required by Sunbucks regarding appeals process and so forth. And so you pile on all those things, it gets to be more expensive. But it's really the verification process. It's not just getting an application submitted that is the problem. It's everything else that happens after we get the application. So I will make sure I understand from NSD, because they're the ones that reviewed the online, the Nutrisystem thing, and verify that that's the issue.
Okay, thanks.
Mm.
Okay, Q1 from Olivia. For our foster and homeless 0 to 5-year-olds, are we responsible for getting SSIDs and putting up CALPADS enrollments in order for these students to qualify for Sunbucks? Currently, we do not put up an enrollment for them unless they are receiving SPED services. Some of these students do attend preschool sites that participate in a lunch program.
I want to say, Olivia, excellent question.
Right.
And then I'll let
So
Paula answer it.
there is the trailer bill language for the budget does have legislation that talks about requiring districts to participate in Sunbucks. However, I don't believe the language is specific as to whether or not it would require districts to collect SSIDs enrollments for preschool kids. So right now it's not required. It's an option that LEAs can certainly do if they want to be able to enable those families to receive Sunbucks benefits. So
Outside-
hopefully
I have a
answers it well
question.
enough
Is
for
this-
now.
Outside
a
of
question.
Sunbucks,
Yeah, does someone?
I have a question for, not for CalPads, but for CapStack. Should this then
That's a
go to them?
question. Yeah, so no, that's a discussion we've yet to had with the CapStack folks. That system is not yet kind of ready for that, but that would be my question before we mandated or said anything about submitting it to CalPads, is whether CapStack would be more appropriate. The problem is that they're a little bit behind in terms of it being available. So.
Nate, did you have something you wanted to add?
yes, I worked with the homeless program folks directly, and they encourage LEAs who are serving students who are homeless to be reported 3 to 21. There's Title I funding that's not limited to school-age students that can be generated if you're serving homeless students 3 to 21. I don't know specifically about foster youth, but I would imagine it's the same. I could look into that, but definitely I would say report your homeless students. Generally, if your students have program eligibility and they're 3 and above, you'd want to report them to CalPads if you're serving those students.
Right. It's not required, but it's an option. There's some counties, like I believe Santa Clara, that have been getting SSIDs for all of their preschool and those kids for a while. But that was a county-wide initiative. But we do know that at many LEAs and counties, it's siloed data, right? The preschool folks and stuff are not part of the student information system, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But definitely in the next few years, we're probably going to be moving more towards some sort of better integration. But right now, it's nothing that is mandated, but it's clearly an option if your LEA could swing it, it would mean potentially, Sunbucks benefits for those students. It was not an issue under summer EBT because we got data through the child development. The Department of Social Services got that data elsewhere, but that's not happening for this Sunbuck. So that's why there's kind of this gap.
And then to Sen's follow-up question there, would they be enrolled at the district level? No, especially since this LEA in particular already has preschool sites that appear to have a CDS code. It would be registered to those schools, and we try not to register students at the district level for any reasons. Unless truly necessary. And then also, if not, then you have that option of what sometime is deemed in your SIS system as a district level school, but it's not truly your district level school. It's the CDS code duplicated. It's the first half, and then it's duplicated for the second half. That is a separate then school that can maybe be considered as your preschool. But ultimately, no, as Paula said, no, it's not a requirement. Two, this is a local decision. And I say take it back to your LEA administrators for which codified practices your LEA specifically is going to do.
I found a FAQ that I'll conclude this question with when we're done.
All righty. Q1 from Wendy. I have an SENR 0718E3 on a student who graduated. He was reported as enrolled for 1 day in July, so his grad status could be reported. The school that he was attending was not in session in July, so there is no attendance info. How should we fix this?
I don't understand how he was. Wendy, can you submit a ticket? Because I don't understand how he was attending
I
the
can
school.
answer. Right now, you're supposed to submit a STAS exemption record for that student, but vendors are saying that's a little bit tricky for them. I mean, you could do it on online maintenance, but it would get wiped out once your STAS file is posted next time. So we are in discussions with our requirements folks about maybe tweaking that validation to exclude graduation or graduated students.
It's the same school though?
Summer grads.
Angela?
What's that?
It's the same school? Because I read it differently. I thought she was saying he graduated from a different school.
Hard to say.
Sounds like the school just ended and then he kind of completed his credit somehow. And so did that advice that we provide, which is provide a 1 day enrollment to report your summer grads.
Yeah. So leave the 1 day enrollment, leave the STAS error there. And I agree with Angela. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay. I mean, if you want it to go away right now, you could just go into online maintenance and create a STAS exemption record.
No, because that's a full file replacement. So it would wipe out. The
Online
other
maintenance won't, but if later on, if she posts a 24-25 STAS file, it might wipe that out. Yeah.
So be careful with those. This is Q1 from Jennifer. My STAS DD error extract is failing with a sequence contains no elements, but I see we have this 708E3. Is that a known issue?
So that's interesting. I was just able to reproduce that for Berkeley, but then I tried ABC Unified and it worked. So something's wrong, Jennifer. If you could put in a ticket and ask for me, I will escalate that for you and see if we can get a resolution.
Okay. Oops, screen. Here we go. Q1 from Alejandra. I submitted my request for access to the EDCS on May 16th, but have not received a response. Do you know how long it typically takes for access to be granted?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this had said it was answered already. Anyway, you're talking about EDCS access and when it will be granted?
Yes.
Yeah, so we are looking into that right now. It should be granted really as very shortly after it's been submitted. So our Diana's checking that out to see why it wasn't responded to. Also know though, it's good to get your access all squared away and stuff, but if you're mostly interested in doing Sunbucks, it's not open yet. The only thing open right now is ASVAB.
Sin said it took them a week to give her access.
Right. So we're on that, but
Oh,
that's not, that shouldn't be.
It's not the ideal turnaround you're looking for, Paula.
No, it's not. So Diana's on it.
Great.
Okay, and last Q1 before we circle back to the Q2s, and Paula is typing her answer. Paula mentioned something about a percentage of UB applications needing verification.
Okay, yeah. So I could just answer that live, I guess. So the trailer bill of the budget has some language regarding the requiring LEAs basically to implement Sunbucks, and there's a bunch of references there. One is to the federal requirements for verification. So you can at least look at the federal requirements. However, our Nutrition Services Division is in the process of providing guidance for what that looks like. It's a little bit this first year because everything is rolling out kind of late, but the idea of it, it's not going to be that dissimilar to the NSLP application verification requirements, in that it'll be some percentage of UBAs that would need to be verified, but there'll be some more specifics or guidance as to how you select that sample. I know that, for NSLP, I think they wait till there's like all of them are in, and then you do a random sample. That might not work for Sunbucks because the applications come in on a more rolling basis. Anyway, it's to be, guidance is coming from my Nutrition Services Division. And as soon as they get that guidance, we'll just make sure you guys know. Also, and just, FYI, the budget is currently will have funding to support LEAs in doing that kind of work. So that's just an FYI. But again, the budget is not yet signed and that legislation is not yet enacted. So we have to be kind of careful what we say.
Right. Here's a Q2 from John. Are the requirement for the AB 101 applied to foreign students with transfer credits? They have students who transferred in from outside the country for 12th grade.
So I'm pretty sure it might be a moot question.
It's not a requirement.
What was that?
I said it's not a requirement. CALPADS doesn't do a requirement validation on that. We never have. We don't. So it goes back to your Q1. Is it a requirement? And so we can't. The CDE doesn't have a requirement for AB 101 initially. And
Well, right, the state does. The legislation made it a statewide graduation requirement. And so technically all LEAs are supposed to implement that and make sure that their students meet the state graduation requirements. But it might be moot, as we talked about earlier, because that mandate, apparently the funding was pulled back for it. And I believe the legislation said something like, if there's no funding, then this will not be a requirement. So we're a little bit in limbo. Having said that, if you're talking about your 12th grade students right now, I don't believe that the requirement, should it be still required, I think it has a couple more years yet before it's a requirement. I believe this year the requirement was that LEAs offer ethnic studies.
Hey.
Rebecca has a follow-up
Okay.
question in the chat. Just asking Paula about the trailer bill number. Is it a assembly bill, a Senate bill?
Oh, geez, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I didn't know if anyone else could find it sooner than me.
We'll get that for you in
Or
chat
call
soon,
it bill.
Rebecca.
I don't recall what bill we're talking about. Which bill Rebecca's asking for. I'm sorry.
It's the budget trailer bill. So it's the language in the budget trailer bill. But probably for education. We'll get that. Is Rebecca, are you the one that's asking?
Sounds like more to come on that one. Q2 from Larney. I have a question on the new guideline to no-show the N470 in regards to special education. The new guidance states that when a student is exited with N470, the effective date must be the date of enrollment. Our SIS automatically assigns for exit N470 the effective date as 1 day before. It does it does make sense because exiting them, the date of enrollment gives them 1 day enrollment with us, which means the STAS record for that student. I don't know if that's true because if it's an N470, it's a no-show, but the course enrollment, etc. This can also play a part when a student who pre-enrolled with us but actually moved to another LEA when this causes CCE. The vendors may be able to change the process with the N470, but isn't the requirement for STAS and course enrollment for 1 day enrollment from CALPADS? I don't believe there is. It isn't. No, we have found this problematic when we are sending enrollments for fall 2 for students enrolled on census day, but not show up when they were exited on census day with a 1 day enrollment. Isn't there a certification error when there's no course enrollment? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's an N470, that doesn't apply because that's a
Right.
no-show.
Yeah,
And-
no certification errors on those or
Not,
CCEs.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Not only that, but this guidance, I was looking at an office hours slide from September 9th of last year, where this guidance was given, and the N470 with the same exit date as the enrollment start date. So I don't think calling it new guidance is accurate.
I would agree with that, Dominic. We've been saying it for a while.
All righty. And I think that's it. We have a copy of that and Assembly Bill 101. And it's
Only
401.
1 minute over again.
Perfect. Well, thanks for all the good questions, you guys. Thanks everyone from CD and CSIS and the LEAs that typed in answers. Thanks for all your help. We will
Put
be
Rebecca's thing in there too, if anybody
great.
else wants to grab it.
Thanks, Sean. And we will be back next Wednesday. However, remember the service desk is closed on Monday.